Well, hello, students. My name is Mr. Smith, and welcome to Staunton High School Driver Education. So, this year obviously is going to be a little bit weird, but whether you are an in person learner or whether you are a remote learner, we hope that your experience in this class is a good experience and that you learn all of the skills that you need to be a successful driver. I'm sure that you've taken classes over the years that you thought to yourself, when am I ever going to need to know this information? Well, thankfully, driver education is not one of those classes. You will be driving for the largest chunk of your life, for many, many years to come. This is a skill that you will be utilizing every day. So, the information that you learn in this class, although much of it is subject to change over the years, the basics of how to be a safe driver and the rules of the road are things that you're going to use daily for years and years to come. So I hope that you find this class helpful, and I hope that you get a lot out of it. And I know that you're all going to be successful. If you're nervous about this class at all, please don't be nervous. My goal is to help all of you succeed. So that's what I'm here for, is to help you succeed and help you all become good, safe drivers. So let's take a look at a few things today as we get started with driver education class. As you guys are aware, we're utilizing a new learning management system. Fancy educational acronym LMS just means how do we interact with you digitally as a teacher and students. And so we're going to be using Schoology, as I'm sure that you're all aware. And so once you log into Schoology, you should have this driver education classroom should already be there for you. If it's not, please contact me and let me know, and we'll get that worked out. Okay. And so each day you're going to see assignments show up there. If you're in person, they're going to be there. If you're at home as a remote learner, they're going to be there. They will be the same. The assignments will be the same whether you're in person or whether you are remote learning. Today, what we're going to cover is just kind of a class intro and go over an informational handout that I've got for you. I call it a handout, even though I don't actually print out paper copies of it anymore to give to you. But we have a digital copy that you all will get. You'll also see down there, you see a couple of things on here that are grayed out on my screen. Those are upcoming things for us. Don't get too worried about this right here where it says rules of the road pre-test. That's nothing that's for a grade. It's basically just something for me so that I can kind of see where all of you are at with your knowledge. Um, and then once we're done with the rules of the road, we'll take a post test and we can see how much you guys have learned over that time. So this is not for a grade, and don't let that stress you. You certainly don't need to study for it. I don't even encourage you to do that. Not at this point. We're going to cover the rules of the road book in depth. But that's something that's coming up tomorrow. And then on Monday, we will actually start getting into the rules of the road. You see down here at the bottom that we have two documents that are available to you. These are published by the Illinois Secretary of State's office, which is the portion of our state government that's in charge of governing the roadways. And so we have the rules of the road book, which I also have actual physical copies for you. If you're in class, I'm passing those out today. If you're a remote learner, those are in the pickup tub that's right outside of the main high school doors. If you come around to the front of the building on Deneen, when you're looking at the high school, you've got those two sets of doors. It's the doors on the left. There'll be a tub right out there, and it's got these rules of the road book in it, and it's also got this GDLP parent teen driving guide. Both of these are good documents that will help you guys in this journey of learning to drive. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this driver educational information handout. And let's see here, turn that off. We don't need that. And let me shrink my screen down a little bit here and get in a position where I'm not blocking stuff for you guys. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the information here. You guys can be looking at this on your screen, and we're just going to talk about what are the requirements for getting your license. What exactly is going to occur in driver education class? just kind of give you a brief overview of what's going to happen and what the rules are in Illinois. A lot of this stuff you may already be aware of, and some of it you might not. And so hopefully, by the end of this, you'll have a really good idea of what it is that we're going to accomplish over the next 9 weeks and over the course of your entire permit phase where you have your permit and what do you need to do to be eligible for your license. So those are the things that we're going to talk about. So just some general information. To be eligible to get your driver's license before the age of 18, which I assume is what most of you want to do. If you don't want to take driver's ed, you can just wait until you're 18 to get your license. But assuming that you want to go ahead and get your license whenever you turn 16, let's talk about the things that you have. So to get your license at age 16 or any time before the age of 18, have to complete 30 hours of classroom instruction. And so during our 9 week driver's ed class, we get 30 hours of classroom instruction, just barely though. So you can't miss class. All right. Now during a 9 weeks class, you can miss a maximum of 5 class periods. That's when we had full class periods. During this time here, our classes are shortened. Our classes are only 40 minutes. So during this school year, if you miss a class period, the expectation is that you have to make up that work at home. So if you're an in person learner and you're absent for a day, you have to do that work at home. If you're a remote learner and you're sick for a day, you have to get that work made up. Okay. Because we're only getting just barely those 30 hours of classroom instruction because of the shortened class periods. Okay. So students must complete 50 hours, 10 of which must be from dusk to dawn. Those are just, words that mean from the time the sun goes down until the time the sun comes up, or in other words, nighttime. Okay, so you must complete 50 hours, 10 of which have to be at night, of practice driving with your parents or another responsible adult. That can only occur once you get your permit. Okay. I know some of your parents have probably already taken you out driving. As well intentioned as that is, that's illegal. It's not okay just because you're with your parent. Legally, you have to wait until you get a permit, and you cannot start logging or keeping track of these hours until you have a permit. All right. So once you have your permit, which you will earn during this class, once you have your permit, you have to complete 50 hours of practice driving with your parents or another responsible adult. And 10 of those 50 have to be at night. So it's not 50 during the day and 10 at night to add up to 60. It's a total of 50. So 40 during the day and 10 at night. You can have more than 10 at night. You just have to have at least 10 at night. Students must complete 6 hours of behind the wheel driving and 6 hours of observation with an instructor. So that's me. I'm your instructor at Staunton High School. And so you will, once you get your permit, you will do 6 hours of behind the wheel driving with me. And you'll also do 6 hours of observation. So the way that works is it'll be me and then two of you in the car together. So two students and one teacher, me, and you'll drive for 20 minutes and you'll watch another student drive for 20 minutes or observe. So you'll get 20 minutes of driving, 20 minutes of observation. We'll do that 18 times, and that adds up to 6 hours of driving, 6 hours of observation. Now, that observation means that you're observing. It doesn't mean you're sitting in the back playing games on your phone. That's not the way that works. Okay. So you're supposed to be observing, and you can learn as I instruct the student that's driving, just like they can learn as you're driving and they're observing. Okay. Parents, oh, students hate to hear about this one, but parents love it. Parents or guardians have the right to revoke, that means take away, a student's permit or license until they turn 18. So let's say that you're at home and you're just being kind of a little jerk to your mom or dad or whoever it is that's in charge of you, your guardian. And and you're just being a little jerk, and they're like, you know what? That's it. You're grounded from your license. Give me your license. Do they have the right to do that? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What if you're like, I'm not handing over my license to you. That's my license. I earned it. All they have to do is pick up the phone and call the Secretary of State's office, and they can literally have your license canceled. They have that power. They're in charge of you. You're not an adult yet. You know, a driver's license is not a right, it's a privilege. Okay, so and that goes for adults too. That's not just for teenagers. That statement, a driver's license is a privilege, not a right. That goes for adults as well. You know, if I go out there and I make a bunch of bad choices related to driving, guess what happens to my license? It gets taken away. It gets revoked. If I go out there and drive recklessly or drive intoxicated or whatever the case might be, they can take my license away. Well, your parents can take your license away, but until you turn 18, they can take it away even for non-driving related things. If you're just being a little jerk to them, then they can take your license away. So that's something that you need to be aware of, and something that your parents should be aware of too. So students need to successfully complete 6 total hours of driving with me. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, I was talking about this just a second ago. There will always be 2 students in the car. Okay, always. So you'll be scheduled. The office will schedule you, and it says that right down here. The office will schedule you. Um, and let's say that you're scheduled to drive with student B. So you're student A and you're scheduled to drive with student B. But student B is sick that day. Well, we will find someone else to be in the car with us. It will never be just the teacher and one student. It'll always be at least 2 students. All right. So you guys, we've talked a little bit here about what do you have to do to get your license. Well, you guys don't even have a permit yet. So what do you have to do to get a permit? To get a permit, you have to be 15 years of age. Now, some of you in this class may not have had your 15th birthday yet, and that's totally fine. It's okay to start the classroom part before you turn 15. And you can even, we'll do the vision test where we test your eyes. You'll take a test on your Chromebook about the rules of the road. Once we learn about it, you'll take a test to see if you can pass and get your permit. We can do all of that stuff before you turn 15. That's fine. And then once you turn 15, the state will give you your permit. Okay. So you have to be 15 years of age to get your permit. You have to pass the state written exam. That's the test that you'll take on the Chromebook several weeks from now. You'll take that. Don't worry about it. You'll be very prepared for it. We study, study, study. We go over the information a lot. You will be very prepared for it, and I'm sure you're all going to pass. Okay, so you'll pass the state written exam. You'll take the vision test, and for those of you that are remote learning, I'll be in contact with you. I'll put information out about what that procedure is going to be like because obviously you're not at school for us to do the vision test, but we will make arrangements so that you can do your vision test and you can qualify to get your permit. You have to be enrolled in classroom driver education. Good news, all of you are. You're in this class right now. You're all in classroom driver education. You will have to pay $20 to the Secretary of State. That money, even though you will, if you're already 15, whenever it's time for this, even though you'll give that money to me, that money doesn't go to the school. That money goes to the Secretary of State. So that'll either need to be cash or a check made out to Secretary of State. Don't make it out to Staunton High School, Secretary of State. You'll need to have some identification handy, and that'll be birth certificate and social security card. So make sure that you have those things on hand. That's a good thing to be doing right now, not like this exact moment, but this week check and see, hey, mom, dad, do you guys know where my birth certificate is? Do you know where my social security card is? So that whenever it's time to get my permit or to get my license, that I've got that stuff. If the answer is no, that you don't know where that stuff is, start the process now of getting it replaced. Start the process of getting a social security card replaced. start the process of getting your birth certificate replaced. That way, whenever you do turn 16, it doesn't hold you up. It doesn't prevent you from getting your license. You've got to produce proof of address, and there are a couple of, at least two forms of proof of address. And there's a full list of all of this stuff that is acceptable identification. And that full list is provided at the link here. So, and we'll talk about that more as we go through the rules of the road book. But if you want to start taking a look at it before then, you can go ahead and follow that link, and it'll allow you to see that information. Okay, so let's say you get your permit and you have completed driver's ed. Well, how do you go about obtaining a license? What are the rules there? Well, you have to be at least 16 years of age. You guys know that. You can't get your license until your 16th birthday. Once you turn 16, there are a couple of other things that have to have happened for you to get your license. One of them, and a lot of people don't know this, is one of them is that you have to have your permit for at least 9 months. So if you're 15 and a half right now and you don't have a permit yet, which I'm assuming you don't if you're in this class, if you're 15 and a half and you don't have your permit yet, that means you're not quite going to get your license on your 16th birthday. You're going to have to wait a few months after that. From the day that your permit is issued, whatever date your permit is issued to you, you have to wait at least 9 months from that date. Now, if you get your permit on your 15th birthday, well, 9 months from then, you're only 15 and 9 months. So you've had it for 9 months. Does that mean you can go and get your license? No, you've got to turn 16. So both of these conditions have to be met. You have to be 16 and you have to have had your permit for 9 months. And in parentheses here, we see it says conviction free. You have to be conviction free during that time. That's talking about driving infractions. So if you get a speeding ticket, guess what happens to these 9 months? They start over. So you got to drive safely when you're on your permit. I mean, you really got to drive safely all the time, right? But yeah, you got to watch your P's and Q's whenever you're driving on your permit, because those 9 months that lead up to you getting your license, you've got to be conviction free during those 9 months. It's basically, you can think of that permit phase as kind of like a probationary phase. The state's kind of checking to see if you really should be allowed to drive on your own out here on these roads. And if you get a speeding ticket or running a stop sign ticket, and you've got an adult sitting right next to you in the car monitoring your driving, and you're driving poorly with an adult sitting next to you, how do you think you're going to drive when you don't have an adult sitting next to you? So they say, no, you're not going to get your license when you're 16. You're going to have to wait a little longer. Let's start those 9 months over and see if you can behave yourself for 9 months. So you got to be at least 16 years of age. You got to possess that valid permit for 9 months, conviction free. Got to pass both portions of driver education. So the two portions are the classroom portion. That's what we're in right now, and the behind the wheel portion. Behind the wheel is the driving part where you're driving the car, and I'm monitoring you and giving you tips and suggestions, and so that's those 6 hours of driving. And then you also have to have 50 hours of driving with your parent or guardian or some other responsible adult. And then finally, you have to pass a driving test. So you've already passed a vision test, you've already passed a written test, and then you have to pass a driving test. So there's 3 tests you got to pass to get your license. 2 of those you've got to pass to get your permit. The vision and the written you have to pass to get your permit. The driving you got to pass to get your license. So if you do well in the class, and you do well in the driving part, you'll take your driving test with me at the school. If you don't do so hot in the class, then you'll have to take your driving test at the driver services facility. It won't prevent you from getting your license. It's just a little more stressful because then you got to drive with somebody that you don't know, and it can make you a little more anxious. So that's some information about what's going to happen between now and the time you get your license. A little bit of information about the class. There's a classroom portion, a behind the wheel portion, and uh, what you've got to do to actually get that license. Having the permit, it's you got to have it for 9 months. You got to be conviction free. Completing the driver education program and the practice driving, and then passing the driving test. So, what can you be doing now, or what can your parents be doing now? Well, as I mentioned earlier, make sure that you've got the official birth certificate and the social security card. And by the way, that birth certificate, it has to be the official birth certificate with the seal or the stamp on it from the county that you were born in. If it's the commemorative one from the hospital that's got the cute little footprints on it, that does not count. Okay, those are cute and great for babies' books, but those do not count as an official birth certificate. So it's got to be the official one from the county you were born in, or from the country you were born in. If you were not born in this country, from wherever you were born, you got to have that official birth certificate. My birth certificate is actually not from this country. Fun fact about me: my dad was in the army and he was stationed in West Germany. That, if you guys are history buffs, that'll give you a little bit of a clue as to how old I am. He was stationed in West Germany. There is no West Germany now; it's just Germany. And I was born in a U.S. Army hospital in Frankfurt, West Germany. Both my older brother and I were born there. So yeah, my birth certificate is from West Germany. Um, so have the official birth certificate and social security card. Uh, if you know that you wear glasses or contacts and you haven't had your eyes checked lately, now's a good time to schedule that and go ahead and have your eyes checked, because you will run into problems if your prescription's a little old. If you know that you have trouble seeing things, then you need to get that checked now, because that will keep you from getting your permit. If you can't pass the vision test, you're not going to get your permit. You're not going to get your license. So have that checked if you know you're having a little bit of a hard time seeing. If you can sit in the back of a classroom and you can read the board, then you know that you've got no problems. I mean, you're going to pass okay. But if that's kind of iffy for you, then you need to get that checked. What do you do if you have questions? Well, there are two main things. One is that you can go to cyberdriveillinois.com. This is a website that's produced by the Secretary of State's office, and it's got everything driving related on it. There's all sorts of information on there for you. And so that's a really good resource. And then, of course, you can also email me. If you're an in person learner, you can just come up and talk to me, socially distanced, of course, 6 feet away, and we'll be wearing masks. But you can come up and talk to me, and you can absolutely ask me questions. But you can also email me, whether you're in person or whether you're remote. You can email me your questions, and I'd be happy to answer them and do all that I can to help. So there you go. There's our information for today. Our just kind of give you a little bit of an update on what's going to happen in this driver education class. Thanks for joining me, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.